Okay, good morning, everyone. I am Ms. Allaine Joy Atabelo, and I will be doing Vedantic Monism, the revolt of the spirit against matter, for our creative humanistic philosophy of education tasks, activity 3, and also the final requirement under Doc Eric Fungo. Let's start. Today, I will be starting with the learning objectives, which are to explain the core concepts of Vedantic monism and the unity of Atman and Brahman. Two, to describe the philosophical meaning of the revolt of the spirit against matter and transcendence of Maya. Third is to connect Vedantic principles to contemporary education philosophy and SNEd. To begin with the history, the concept of Vedantic monism is established with Hinduism, rooted in an ancient Indian philosophy, Vedas, and Upanishads. First term is Advaita Vedanta, which means or refers to the non-dualistic school of thought. Second is Adi Shankaracharya in the 8th century, which is the key proponent. Third term is Brahman, which refers to the universal consciousness, the ultimate reality. And Atman is when somebody reach Brahman, that self is called Atman, that identical to Brahman. So, what is Vedantic monism? This is believing that there's one ultimate reality, reaching the unity of Atman, self, and the Brahman, the universal consciousness. So, the self realization is the highest form of spiritual awakening, holistic understanding of human existence beyond the physical realm, and the individual soul is not separate from the infinite and universal spirit. On my end, since I am a Christian, I will incorporate it. If I'm going to incorporate this in a Christian perspective, this is believing that spiritual things are to be understood by spiritual matters. And when you prioritize spiritual enlightenment, when you receive the Holy Spirit, your mind will be renewed, transformed, and your actions, your flesh will also be become productive, more successful towards righteousness. Okay. So the revolt of the spirit against matter, this believes that spirit as the true self, seeking truth and freedom, and matter as the physical, referring to anything that is tangible here in the world, in the sensory world, and the illusion is referring to Maya. The struggle is to transcend material distractions. In relation to Buddhism, they believe that you have to disregard all of the pains, remove yourself from the distractions of this world, material things, in order for you to appreciate or reach the spiritual awakening and the pursuit of higher spiritual truth and wisdom. So in the Christian perspective as well, the flesh and the spirit is always contradicting, so there's a struggle within. Once you are able to surpass through the help of the Holy Spirit, then you will be able to have a better life. The major principles of Vedantic monism is one, unity of existence. All reality is one. Referring to Atman and Brahman are inseparable. Education must reflect this interconnectedness of learners. Two, journey of self-discovery and moral development. Learning is an inward process. Spiritual awakening and ethical growth are central to true education. And third is lifelong learning as continuous growth. Consciousness expands through sustained inquiry, reflection, and the pursuit of higher wisdom throughout life. So this type of approach is more on the moralistic side, where we prioritize the inculcation of values to our students, especially in the rampant violence in our schools nowadays, affecting the safety of our teachers and the lives, in fact, of our teachers. So I personally can connect to this approach because I believe that when we prioritize the spirituality and the morals of our students, the rest will follow when it comes to academics. So the view of the learner, this approach and the principle believes that every learner possesses inherent, limitless potential waiting to be awakened. Learning is an inward journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth. Holistic development encompasses the intellectual, emotional, moral, and spiritual dimensions, and each individual's dignity and worth must be honored in every learning encounter. The teachers are viewed as well as the facilitators of self-discovery, not merely a transmitter of knowledge, mentor and moral guide who models wisdom and integrity. Now, the reflective practitioner committed to lifelong learning, and we should encourage the learners' holistic development, intellectual, emotional, moral, and spiritual. In our educational implications, we must practice the learner-centered and the reflective teaching methods where the students will have to ponder upon their lives, not only within the classroom, but even the lifelong learnings towards their journey to awakening and to becoming a better person. To focus on character formation and ethical leadership, holistic curriculum integrating intellectual, emotion, and spiritual education as transformative and not just transactional. So in our SPED application, we must, of course, apply an inclusive education grounded in respect and equity. This principle is very much against into bullying, strength-based individualized teaching approaches, again, prioritizing personal development and morals and values, loving people, respecting nature, and the universal design for learning or UDL and individualized education programs. Again, prioritizes the collaborative partnerships with families and communities because we believe that the main value or the foundation of value of the students are established or to be established at home as well. So the classroom strategies may differ mainly with the age bracket and the level of understanding because this approach really requires time and effort because it introduces or encourages reflective journaling to foster self-awareness and inner growth, and it really requires maturity, time, in order for students to be more consistent when it comes to meditating, writing their problems, expressing themselves, and also digging deep to their thoughts. Inquiry-based and collaborative learning for deeper understanding as well, where they become mindful and integrate values centered activities with differentiated instructions to meet unique learner needs. The relevance to the future teachers, this one teaches empathy and compassion toward every learner, respecting learner diversity and promoting resilience, developing reflective practice and ethical decision making, leading inclusive, transformative classrooms grounded in dignity, and the Vedantic Monism calls educators to see the limitless potential in every student. So the three key takeaways are education is holistic, nurturing the whole person intellectually, emotionally, morally, and spiritually. Second, learners possess innate wisdom and limitless potential, where teachers will only facilitate transformation and not merely knowledge delivery. Third, inclusive education honors human dignity and diversity, with spiritual and moral development complement academic excellence. For our reflection question, feel free to put your answers in our comments, not only to my topic, but to all of the presentations that we will be able to encounter in our Google Classroom. But for this scheduled report on August 1, here is your reflection question. In an educational system that often prioritizes grades, competition, and measurable achievement, how can future educators balance academic excellence with the holistic development of learners, especially those with special educational needs? In what ways can the principles of Vedantic Monism inspire more inclusive, compassionate, and transformative teaching practices? Feel free to put on your answers on our chat. And that's the end of our discussion for today. Thank you so much for listening, classmates, and see you around. Bye.